Hello wonderful people, Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Naughty Step channel, and it is time for another Extra Naughties monthly roundup. August, another big month in the bass music calendar, and here we have 26 mini reviews to reflect that, covering all kinds of bass music as per and covered in alphabetical order by way of artist or record label name as per, and we got the extra mentions coming at the end, those which I didn't have quite enough to say about them to mention them in the main part of the video right here, but which I still recommend you go and check out if you have the time. And yeah, many a big name and project on show that is going to be talked about in this video, in this roundup, so without any further ado, let's go. And kicking off this installment, the new EP from ASEAN, Mass Culture. And it is another striking ASEAN EP. Exciting ideas again, sharply executed again, that compelling dubstep trap hybrid kind of style. Not that far from Control Freak, if you're a fan of him, who we're going to be talking about a little bit later on here. But yeah, anyway, ASEAN, one of, if not the most impressive underground producer in bass music, in my opinion, at the moment. I mean, here, with this EP, we get a couple of mare drops that don't do all that much, but generally, there's just no one consistently killing it like him, like ASEAN, in my opinion, so you're really missing out if you're not checking out his stuff. These Aleko remixes are very good. This is a good remix comp, and usually I think remixing just one tune over the course of a whole compilation isn't that good, doesn't work all that well, but it's kept exciting for most of it, if not all of it, I would say. You know, good levels of variation. The trigger at the start especially is very top, very, very good. He's killing it at the moment. Definitely check out Trigger if you haven't yet, TRXGGX. But yeah, moments or aspects that are fantastic in all of them, I would say. So yeah, it's a good remix comp. Next up we have Calcium, who actually dropped 2 EPs last month. Not going to talk about the Baseweight EP because it's pretty forgettable for me, not gonna lie, but this Experiments EP, on the other hand, is great. Really worthwhile experiments that we are getting here. It's a SoundCloud exclusive. You got West Coast bass kind of flavour, not dissimilar to someone like Superav, for example. And then you got a bit of house in there, the remixes are fun as well. I think he clearly just got stuck in his sound a little bit, and this collection of tunes just really enlivens his aesthetic in quite an important, I think, and impactful way. So yeah, just more of this kind of stuff, please and thank you. Sable Valley had a couple of good EPs recently, and this one from Control Freak is up there with the best, for sure. It's that hyper hybrid trap kind of style. You know, all the elements of trap with the percussion, the backdrops, the layouts, the structures and whatnot, with dubstep sounds inserted in, which is quite exciting, quite intricate, you know, not your normal hybrid trap, but a really kind of thrilling feel about it. Decent amount of techno dropped in various parts here and there as well, and yeah, like I mentioned earlier, kind of like the ASEAN, that thrilling, cinematic, well-cut bass music kind of approach. And they're not all captivating ideas, but the way it's made just makes it very arresting for pretty much the whole thing. So yeah, it's just another very good EP. Then we have the debut album from Diesel, aka Shaquille O'Neal. Is he producing? I mean, there are tracks here with no vocal at all, so I'm kind of thinking he must have learnt some kind of production to kind of have a hand and collaborate with some of these, because they are real collaborations, or you know, it's either that or he's actually just making people make tracks for him to put his name on, to put on his album. But yeah, that besides, it's kind of what you'd expect. Big on loud, less so on creativity, with that whole mosh pit driven energy about it. It's very on brand. I think the Sultan and Trigger, who I mentioned earlier with the Aleko remixes, provide a bit of flair here across the LP, but you know, even though I'm not that big a fan, it's just quite a cool thing that Shaquille O'Neal is so involved in this scene to the point that he's actually putting out an album's worth of music, even if he's not like fully involved in it production wise. When you think about it, you've got a thing. If you're watching this video and you're interested in this music, you've got a really distinct thing that is similar with Shaquille O'Neal, in that you're obsessed with bass music. I mean, that in itself it's just quite cool. Latest compilation from Duplock, and I wasn't the biggest fan on first listen, I have to say, this one, but I'm enjoying it a fair bit now. The Infect I find the best. It's just quite cheeky with the note placement and stuff like that. Then you got the Odd Cut, the Gnarlith, the Microdot, the Merrycat Black. Those are in order on the compilation. They're also very good. But yeah, generally here, just loving the vibe, the atmosphere as usual, the production, just really solid, understated, underground feeling, not showy at all. Beats, and the right amount of them as well, at 8, which is a good amount for a comp. But yeah, This is good. Then we have these humanoid remixes, and the Chi one sounds fucking fantastic, love it, but doesn't really acknowledge the original vocal, which is such an important part of that original, that you're left kind of thinking, okay, really good beat, but how is it connecting with that original vocal? And then the other three are just a bit of a weird mixed bag that are, you know, quite interesting, I'll give it that, varied takes as well, and they utilise the vocal very well, but none of them fully working as ideas for me. Maybe the something over time will warm on me a bit more, but yeah, none of them quite hitting that good point. One of the best colour-based compilations of recent times, in my opinion, from Exobolt. Loads of variety here in terms of genre, pacing, sound usage, a load of very good melody usage as well over the course of the compilation. And my favourites here coming from Disdain, LM, Rush's Basic, very good track, and the Infowler as well, a little bit more towards the end. Then you got chilled ones as well, like the Neddy kicking it off, gorgeous tune that is, and the Skype as well, that is quite juicy also. But yeah, loads of great material here, a good compilation if you're into your colourful bass music. Check it out. New EP from Feed Me is not bad. Track number 1 Total kicks things off in a really good way with a load of staple Feed Me flavour, talking about production, vocal samples, the general kind of gristle and gravelly nature of it is very, very Feed Me. Then you got Say Yes or Say No, I think, track number 3 here, which re-engages his classic upbeat electro style, I think, very effectively. Also, beyond that, just a little bit ordinary and not that kind of statement making for him, and I just kind of fear a little bit that he might go down the Kill the Noise route of kind of joining up with Ophelia and releasing a lot more with them and changing his aesthetic in quite a drastic way, which I think has happened to Kill the Noise or with Kill the Noise. So yeah, just hoping that doesn't happen too much. Again, quite the mix of electronic styles on show here from Form, the latest Form compilation, the yearly Form compilation, but a good amount of bass here, I would say, lobbed in within all the kinds that we get. The Shadow Government in particular, I find great. Also enjoying the Splitter, the Wobble Funk as well when it comes to the heavier stuff that we get here. Also loving the artistry on show in the Skybreak and Billiam Moto and Myolophone. I'm going to go with that pronunciation, think that would be right, but yeah, generally here with this compilation, just quite a lot to get through yet again at 45 cuts, but still quite a journey. I do rate the journey that it takes you on through all these different kinds of electronic music and a lot of incredible material on display across all those tracks that we get. Yeah, the talent is insane, it's in the underground, for sure. Another compilation, this time from Full Flex Audio, which isn't my favourite compilation from this particular series, but definitely still good. The Black Site would be my favourite. It's got that rapid, intricate D&B kind of approach, and then the unpredictability also of the Kaifu with the kind of jostling and jigging with the time signature and whatnot. That's very good. Then the Etika, the Vion, the Irony, the Amphivolia, I think would be the correct pronunciation, maybe. Do correct me if I'm wrong. Those are all very good as well. They've got great bits about them. Not many ideas beyond that. We have 18 in total here, but the general makeup of these tracks, of the compilation overall, just how they're made, the production value, is what keeps it engaging pretty much start to finish. Then we have another compilation, this time from Halcyon, which isn't bad, Enchanted Volume 2. I think it gets off to a really good start with the Mad Dubs and Quaston collaboration. Loads of lovely, melodic, colourful energy kind of bound up in that one, quite powerful as well. Then the Sonata at the end, so going from very beginning to very end here. Yeah, the Sonata one does inject a much needed energy at the end of the compilation. In between that, just fine. You know, good colour, good life about those tracks, but the drop's just not that exciting. And I think especially alongside Volume 1, which came out quite a while ago now, I think a couple of years or so, just not one that I'm that keen to keep on going back to. And then we have, you guessed it, another compilation, this time from Interval Audio, and another extremely varied Interval Audio compilation in both genre and mood, you have to say it. Big fan myself of the Waste Yourself, which is a bit of an outlier in this compilation, and also within the label overall is a bit of a wobbly, trappy kind of cut. I think the label could do more of that. That would be quite cool. And then Manicious again coming through with something quite ambitious and forward-thinking, I would say. The Divider is quite decent as well. I like that quite a bit. But yeah, again, it's one of those compilations where, you know, there are just attention-grabbing moments and sounds in pretty much all these tracks. You know, a couple of duds here and there, a couple of tracks that don't give anything really at all, I wouldn't say. But with the good stuff, there is just a few too many tracks to mention, if I'm being honest. Next up, have to be honest, not my favourite Kaifu collection, not quite as expressive, I don't think, Kaifu here, as usual. I think just a bit more withheld and a bit more stuck with the ideas, and the sound usage just feeling a little bit less vibrant, a little bit more depressive in feel, I would say. Again, the sound usage here overall. Really good moments, to be fair, in tracks like Vibro and Toxic Intent, a little bit more towards the end, and very well produced. You know, don't get me wrong, the production here again, very, very good as usual. Just not quite as off the wall as what you would expect from Kaifu, I don't think. Then we have another good remix compilation, this time from Kaval, which actually, now I think about it, is another good colour-based compilation. So just lobbing together the different facets that we have talked about earlier. But yeah, Sonata killing it again, absolutely here with his remix, very ear-catching, and Basic as well, bit of a mind-bending kind of take we've got there. If you like his style, you're gonna love that track. But yeah, just another compilation really where there are good moments in pretty much all of them. Yeah, it's an exciting compilation. The general variety and production quality is top-notch. Get your ears around it if you haven't yet. Then we have the latest Kill the Noise album, which you might be able to guess what I think about it based on what I was saying earlier, what I was hinting at earlier, but yeah, guys, it kind of pains me to say it, but I don't really like any of these tracks, any of the main 9 tracks that we get. I mean, the introduction is great, really does gear you up for something huge. Very good introduction. And Ultraviolent, following that at track number 2, is also decent. You know, not amazing, but, you know, good bro step kind of sound usage we get there. And there is good variety here, to be fair, within the umbrella term that is bass music, and some good vocals as well. But mostly, I just can't beat the feeling that he has just lost the Kill the Noise touch for the most part. Obviously, it's a very quick turnaround from Embrace, which came out only about 14 months ago, I want to say. That was his second album. And it does make you wonder just a little bit just how much time he spent on these tunes. Whether they were just, I don't know, leftovers in a way from Embrace, because, you know, there's a similarity between them aesthetically, and they're all on Ophelia Records, so that could maybe be the case. But when it came round to it, this album coming out, I just didn't really feel like I could put any of them in my tracks of the week, which kind of says it all, I suppose. You know, it isn't completely gone, the Kill the Noise feeling, it isn't completely vanished, but it's just a bit of a far cry, I think, from his best self. What we grew to love him for is what I mean. And, you know, I might be just a bit too attached to, you know, the nostalgia of his earlier style, his original style, as Kill the Noise, but it just feels so far removed from that I'm struggling to get that much enjoyment out of it, I have to be honest. After that, new EP from Company, another artist that I feel just has more to their repertoire than what we are getting here in this collection. I mean, several of these just sound way too similar, far too similar within the EP and also within his discography generally. Just that one-note Bridimy kind of approach that just doesn't provide that much ingenuity or flavour or creativity, unpredictability, all of that. And I say this because I have heard the ingenuity with him before, and I want more of it. You know, you think back to the early NSD days when he was, you know, dropping EPs and he had a couple of nifty trap tracks here and there. And we do get that a little bit towards the end with the final two in particular, which are just a bit more exciting. But mostly, yeah, I just find it way too predictable for him by this point. Now, next up is an album that I wasn't going to cover because I knew it was going to be very hard to talk about it and kind of narrow it down into words, into description, if you will. Also, not strictly a bass album. You know, there is a lot of bass in there, a lot of heavy electronic music, but not really strictly, like I said, a bass LP. But so many of you wanted me to cover it, wanted to get my thoughts on it. That is the new Qatari, or Qatari, let me know how you pronounce it for sure, for definite, in the comment section down below. His new LP, and we get 12 tracks here. It's an hour and a quarter long, but it is such a genuine insight, this LP, into true creativity, if that makes any sense. It's just so much going on at all times, so many influences being brought together here. It's music without rules is probably the best way that I can describe it, especially structurally, just the hops and the skips and the jumps that it takes from one moment to another, the lobbing in of so many styles of music, it's almost pretty difficult to keep up with. It struck me somewhat that it feels like music for Limitless, the film, if you've seen that, where the premise is that This guy takes a pill and it basically allows him to access all parts of his brain, not just one or two, which is what normal people like you and me are able to do. But this music really does feel like that, like Kiwatari just has access to all kinds of influences at all parts of every single track, every single step that he's ever come across in his life. Like I was mentioning earlier, an insane mix of influences on show across the entire thing within every tune. It's the kind of material where it just changes your perspective on music a little bit and challenges convention with elements of, I don't know, Cohen Sound and Azale and Alon Moore and Groke, just all the neuro but then the classical and then the intricate kind of finely cut electronic stuff with bits of dubstep as well. I just don't really get where you start with making tracks like these. Like, that's how much it's kind of thrown me. It's a mad journey, and I hope I've done at least an okay job of trying to describe it here. But yeah, if there's anything I think from this particular video that you should check out and just see how it kind of washes over you, how you feel about it, going through the whole thing with no skipping, try it, please do try it. Then it'll be this one. So yeah, give it a go. New LP from Kiwatari. Moving on from there, one of my least favourite Leotrix EPs, I'm afraid to say. I think the production remains very good, exceptional, very, very on point, but the melody's not quite there, not that much fruity flavour on that front. The drop ideas not really as captivating or memorable generally overall, apart from maybe the final track, the final cut of the 5 that we get here, that is quite good. Nice deep dubstep flavour about that, but for the most part here, yeah, just lacking the flair, the special touch that we know him for. Next up, collaborative EP between Machine Drum and Holly, which I'm not quite as hype about as others, as a lot of you guys I know love it very much, and that is fair enough, but it is still a very good EP. I can still appreciate that, even though I don't like the ideas, the drops, all that much for the most part. In terms of how it's made, very, very good. The variation we get within that dreamy aesthetic that they go for here for the most part, and also the fact that it's collaborative and how their styles work together, I think very effectively across the 6 tracks that we get here. If we're talking about favourites, then Nova Form, I think track 2 or 3 here is brilliant. I love that tune. The rest, just not that direct, a little bit more arbitrary, a bit more random with the development of their ideas and whatnot, but don't get me wrong, sound quality, arrangement, energy, very, very on point. We clearly have 2 experts working together here, and yeah, there is a lot of good material for sure on this EP. New EP from Phase 1, who is another that I think has unfortunately lost his touch just a bit over the last couple of years or so. Again, really, really well made tracks, the production is fantastic, but the ideas I just find so plain and not really offering anything new for his style within his aesthetic. The Hydraulics collab is quite good, quite lively, a couple of nice jumpy moments here and there, but nothing that notable. And beyond that, just really quite lacking in individuality, in surprise. Just feeling like a far cry from his best self for me, you know, tracks that for me were some of the best of the whole of the 2010s in bass music. Welcome to Mayhem and UFO and whatnot. So yeah, just lost his touch just a bit. After that, one of my favourite artists at the moment, Q100, very, very consistent, falling within the 140 dubstep kind of realm, doing it really, really well again and again. And here, we just get another EP of solid beats. That is what this EP is about. Exceptional production, and a favourite for me would be High Score, I think track number 2 here. And yeah, it's just very good yet again from Mr. Q100. Get your ears around it. After that, we have more classic Rave Volpe, savage, rave-influenced dubstep blend kind of style coming through with that yet again. I mean, to be fair, several pretty straightforward drops here as per. I think we get a few of those in each EP that he puts out, but he's always got something clever and something exciting up his sleeve just kind of creeping around the corner, and my favourite example of that here would be the techno switch up that we get in Drop 'Em, I think track number 4 here, and you get a lot of people doing that badly. I mean, let's be honest, I've talked about it before, but just that switch up out of nowhere into big room techno, whether you're doing house or dubstep or D&B beforehand, and it really doesn't work, but he does it very, very well there. And so yeah, hearing this EP overall with the kind of grandiosity of it, how large and kind of epic it feels overall from him yet again, I just can't help but think that he does have one of the most riveting styles in mainstream bass music at the moment. Very cinematic, very thrilling, very on its feet, very almost petrifying in its kind of delivery. Yeah, it's good. More of it, please. Then we have what is for me one of the most scintillating bass EPs of the year so far, 2023. That is the Smirk EP, or Smirk. Do let me know down below what exactly it is. But yeah, I think too much intricate drum and bass music just doesn't do that much interesting when it comes to the concepts, the drops, the main ideas we get, the focal points. But Smirk really does keep you guessing, I think, across the whole collection with the arrangement, little sounds jolting in and firing in here and there, impeccable arrangement across the whole thing pretty much, and quite a seismic feel as well to the production. Just got a really gravelly, earthy, just well-oiled kind of feel about it. Yeah, I mean, alarming music in the best way, and really one that you have to check out if you haven't yet. Penultimately here today, new EP, latest EP from Vastiv, and I have to say, I really like what he goes for, not just with this EP, but overall that kind of blend of metal and dubstep, and really quite heavy metal as well. And a lot of people do that, a lot of producers do that, but no one quite does it for me with that heavy kind of heavy metal, with the production being that good as well, and with classical influence lobbed in, and a story kind of bound up in most of the tracks we get here. Now, do I love any of them? Do I love any of the 5 tracks we get here? Not quite yet, but the title track has a lot of flavour about it. Bow Down as well, some very good moments, some good excitement to it. Most of the drops, I would say, don't do anything particularly new or different, or just, you know, drops where I'm like, oh yeah, gotta hear that again. That is something that I haven't heard before. But the potential with his style is really there, and I can actually hear him improving quite a bit EP on EP, release upon release, so just a lot of encouragement going forward, really. And finally, for this roundup, a good return after 2 years out on the EP front for Veer, who, to be fair, does take a little bit of time to get into his full flow with this EP, but when he does, he really fucking does. I mean, that title track, and then just after that, Fall with Crustacean. Those 2 tracks I'm enjoying the most because the sound play is just so elite, the arrangement is absolutely incredible. So yeah, those are particularly striking, but there is good elsewhere, good moments elsewhere, and the final cut as well provides a nice melodic moment. So yeah, a good EP overall, and he is still Veer, one of my favourites for sure. Just always excited as to what he's going to do next, his next step, if you will. So yeah, good EP to finish off here for today. But there we have it, the August 2023 edition of the Extra Naughties Monthly Roundup. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. But now it's time for the extra mentions. Going to put them up on the screen right here, right now for you all to see. And yep, these are ones that I didn't quite have enough to say about them to mention them in the main part of the video, of course, but which I still think you guys should check out. A really wide range of artists and genres covered here as per, so if you have the time, if you want to dig into some more bass music and see if you love it, then I recommend you check these ones out. Obviously, there's the ones I mentioned in the main part of the video as well, but these ones are good, so do check them out as well. But with regards to what I reviewed in this video, which ones did you enjoy, which others not so much? Are there any that I missed out from the main mini reviews that I did? Let me know in the comments section down below. Beyond that, my social media accounts and my Patreon are linked down below in the description if you want to help support the channel. Get a load of exclusive content for a small monthly fee. I would massively appreciate it. But yeah, I shall see you all in the next one, wherever that might be. Keep it naughty until then. Peace.